Hey, everybody. Welcome to the SOS Small Business Success Podcast. I am your host, Bonnie Bonadeo, and we're about building brands that survive while developing people to thrive. And today, we're going to talk about thriving because, boy, it is a very, very popular word that's getting thrown around a lot. And I think the truth is we all struggle with it. I know I struggle with it. I go through feast and famine. I go through everything's good to everything doesn't work at all. And thriving is, summed up, is really about being consistent and confident. So I do a little measuring tool for myself where I'm like, okay, so why didn't this particular situation work, or why did it work before and it's not working now? And ultimately what it comes down to is I either wasn't confident in the way I was approaching it or what I was, pushing out, or I wasn't consistent in what I was doing. And I didn't get the same results. And in that case, thriving is more difficult. So, I say that we help you build brands that survive. Okay. So your goal is to be able to continually, confidently, and consistently build your brand, keep building your brand. Because anytime you can build a brand, it makes everything more attractive, everything at a higher value. It makes it sellable. And listen, we're in the business to be sellable, period. Whatever business is that you are offering right now, it's yes, it's about the product or the services that you're offering, but it's about building that brand to make it all sellable to the ideal client that you're striving for. The problem that gets in the way is us as human beings. The brand can start growing and start prospering. We're the ones that get in the way of the brand really being able to go from surviving to thriving. So that's why I always say that there's this position that I have to help develop people to thrive. And listen, I might be the teacher in this moment on this podcast, but I am always the student when it comes to my own business, or even in cases of working with my clients to help them go from surviving to thriving. I never claim to be the expert in this, but I will tell you that I can easily be the teacher because I've seen the success. I've made things, happen and work. And I've seen that thriving success in my own businesses. I've seen it in my customers' businesses. And ultimately what I want to be able to do is to help you to do that. So surviving means that you probably lack confidence or you lack consistency. And confidence in what? Consistency in what usually comes down to some type of strategy, some type of system you're trying to implement. So we're going to kind of like work in that realm of strategy versus system, or how they're the same and how they're different and everything. Because what I say for the SOS coaching program and everything that I share in this podcast is all about strategic opportunities will equal success. So you'll get to thriving if you take strategic opportunities and be consistent and confident with them. And then I say that the strategies that I work with in each and every week are these 5 core areas: sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education. Today, we're going to focus in on the operation part because that's really where strategy lives. And it's also where systems live. So we're going to develop this Thrive strategy so that you can see what you need to do to get to that treasure, what you need to do to get to that pot of gold here, okay? All right, so let's look at the first part right here. How do we thrive? Well, it's repeating the same successful strategies in all you do, okay? In everything you do, you just compete the same successful strategies. If it doesn't work, why would you repeat it, right? But what happens is that sometimes we don't implement things over and over again. Now, I know that in a lot of small businesses and a lot of beautypreneurs and solopreneurs and independent people, there's a lot of creatives in that realm. And creative people are maybe not as operationally driven or systems oriented in order to be able to say, well, I did something and it worked, but I don't remember how I did it. Or I did it once and it was so-so, but sometimes repeating things is how we get to success. Just like practice makes perfect. We get better with practice on things. So it's that same mentality that you have to be able to look at. So the Thrive 5 strategies that I focus in on, again, is sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education. And I call this the SUM strategy because I say, some people will get this and implement it and some won't. But if you want the success, be the SUM that's going to actually do the things that I'm sharing with you guys to do in order to get to that thriving process. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about the Thrive 5, but we're going to put it into a 5 process as well. So it's Thrive plus 5 process. And here's the process. Seriously, it's simple, you guys, but you have to implement it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at a goal. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to put a strategy around the goal. The third is create a process in order to fulfill that goal, apply tasks, and then convert it into a system so it becomes duplicatable. Now, this is why technology is so great today, is because if we just do the first 4 things in a very simple manner, there's probably an app that does that. There's probably a system that does that. There's probably a person that knows how to do this in your company. So in other words, the system is easier to do today than it ever has been because of technology. And then we have to rely on technology to do it. Now, as most businesses that I work with are service-based businesses, they are and a lot of times they're in real life businesses. So restaurants, spas, salons, these type of businesses, health and wellness businesses, they're people-oriented in real life businesses. In other words, you can't necessarily take advantage of their services or offerings unless you are in real life with them. And the goal that we want to be able to do is get to systems that are digitally set up so that we can duplicate success over and over and over again. All right, so let's look at this Thrive 5 here and start with the first one. So the goal. You're looking at your business and you're saying, we need more of this, or we have to fix this, okay? Whatever that is for you. Now, in most cases, it would be, you might need more people to be aware that you exist, which goes back into my ACT method, awareness. The second thing might be you need more customers, client or customer acquisition. The third thing that you might realize is that you need more team or staff or crew, and that would be talent acquisition, okay? So you have a problem and it needs to be fixed. So what is the problem and why does it need to be fixed? And you have to go through this process here to be able to say, why does it need to be fixed? And the 2 questions that you would ask is, if it gets fixed, what impact will it have on my business or my bottom line or my profit? Okay, take it all the way down. Keep going to the smallest denominator with that. If it does not get fixed, what impact will it have on my business, my sales, or my profits? Okay, so when you can answer those 2 questions, you're going to determine the sense of urgency that you'll need to implement in order to fix the problem, okay? So if it's awareness, people don't know you exist, okay? What's the impact that if you fix it, you're gonna have more customers, right? What's the impact if you don't fix it? You might go out of business, all right? And go all the way down. Go down that rabbit hole to be able to determine what's the worst thing that can happen and what's the best thing that can happen in regards to this. So the goal is attached to answering the question, why? Why does this problem exist? And if it didn't, how would that make our business look? Okay, all right. So Thrive 5, number 2 is about then the strategy. And the strategy is answering the question of what? What do we need to do to fix it? Okay. And these are the questions that you want to ask yourself. Okay. And you're most likely going to say yes to many of them. Does it require time, money, energy, resources, or education? And if it does require all those things, each of those are separate identities that you're going to have to figure out how much you need to apply to them. How much time is it going to take me to fix this problem? Is it going to cost me money to fix this problem? Like, if it was actually that you needed to hire some new people, you might have to run an ad, okay? How much energy is it going to take for me? I need to allocate my time to fix this problem versus what I'm normally doing day in and day out, okay? Energy, resources, education. Do I need to get educated on something before I can actually fix the problem? Where do I find that education that I need in order to fix the problem? This is why, forums sometimes are a really great idea to be able to get people to provide you feedback, and sometimes not so great idea because maybe they're not the experts on the ideal feedback. Ultimately, you want to be able to go to the experts to get the feedback that you need. And then what you're going to do is you're going to allocate as needed to be able to fix the problem. All right. So once you've allocated the information in that, which I call the timer method, okay, define how you fix the problem with the timer method, which was the one previous, and you're going to outline it out. Now you can do a couple of different things. I'm a big proponent of outlining things out, just like I outline out my podcast every week. I look at what's been happening over the last week and I see where people are struggling with certain things. And then I create an outline of how I can help alleviate the problems or help them to fix the problems. Okay. Or there is an opportunity, if it's a big project or it's something that you're really thinking, I've got to get to the bottom of this. I've got to make this a priority. I've got to fix this. Okay. Then I call this you got to completely write it out and do a data dump. Okay. Get everything out of your head because there's something that's potentially stopping you from dedicating the time, money, energy, or resources to fixing this problem. And when you're doing a data dump, you're not just like outlining, how am I going to do this? Okay. Now this is a how process, but not how am I going to do it? You also need to make sure that you're incorporating in there the how pieces that will stop you and prevent you from having the success that you need. So you're going to do the good, the bad, the ugly, the scary, the awesome, the past, the present, the future, the success, failure. All right, you're going to write all of that out in a data dump. So the good thing would be, if we fix this problem, we will potentially get, hundreds of new customers. Okay. The bad would be that, maybe we don't get any new customers and it doesn't work. The ugly would be, if we don't get new customers, we might go out of business. The scary would be, I'm going to lose my staff if things don't get better. And then I'm going to have to start from scratch with maybe finding new staff if we don't get more customers. The awesome would be 100 new customers could mean I could hire more people and provide jobs in my community. You're going to look at the past and you're going to say, last time I did this, it didn't work. What didn't I do well? What do I need to change? Looking at the future, if all goes well, how is this going to look? How is this going to feel? You want to put that feeling element in there. Of course, what you're trying to achieve for the success and what you're also trying to look at, that if it doesn't work, are you willing to risk some failure in this in order to figure out how to do it best? Then you're going to go back and outline out exactly what you need to do in order to fix the problem. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys an example of a problem I see constantly. And this would be in the beauty industry that I'm in. And it could be in other industries as well, especially for freelance people, because you're kind of wearing every single hat. You're wearing the CEO hat, you're wearing the manager hat, you're wearing the technician hat. Okay. So what happens a lot of times is that we fail at communicating. So people are trying to reach out to us. People are trying to do business with us, but we get bothered by them reaching out to us at obscure times, or we get bothered by them asking too many questions in a particular manner. And what we don't have is a system set up that allows them to get the information that they need and take action to buy or book that appointment or make that action happen that you're expecting them to do. Instead, you fall into that big black hole of keep dibbly dabbling in it and, tit for tat in it. And then eventually something doesn't happen. And what happens is when we start communicating in a less than professional way, people stop buying into you as a trusted expert. I see this happen all the time. You're no longer a trusted expert the further down, say, a texting approach that you see. Now, I want you to think about when you call a help center. All right. So something's broken, you call up and you're trying to get to the help center, and how they are scripted out. Now, sometimes it's incredibly annoying, but they're scripted out. Hi, Bonnie, thank you so much for calling. We're so sorry that you're having this issue, but I want to promise you that I'm here to fix it with you. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to need from you is blah, 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 blah. They have a very significant system set up in place in order to take me through my problem to a solution. And then always in the end, they're saying, did I solve your problem? Is there anything else that I can do for you? I want to let you know there'll be a survey at the end of this. If you would like to fill that out, I would greatly appreciate it. Complete system from start to finish. Now I want you to look at how you're communicating with your clients. Do you have it set up as a system? Are you referring them to something that might be more static or action driven for them to be able to see you, feel you, sense you as an expert, okay, as an expert, and as a professional person so that they can choose to take action? Or are you putting yourself in the big black hole of eventually they don't come around? And then what happens is that you say, oh, I'm not going to bother with people like that. Or, oh, they never booked anyway. Well, guess what? You unsold them. You unsold them by going down a path of not having a system set up in place that creates success over and over and over again. Okay. And you can eliminate a lot of these like price shopping type of people by having access to them being able to see your price list. You can eliminate a lot of these people with saying, hey, can you get me in on Tuesday or Wednesday, by providing them an online link that says, please go here and find a time that's going to be suitable for you in my online, from my online booking calendar. Okay. Push them into a system that allows them to be in action without all of the unselling process that you're doing with your people along the way. All right, so that's the process of how. Get familiar and get really savvy with the type of processes that you want and your systems. So Thrive 5, number 4 is tasks, okay? So this would be when do you have to get things done? So we were referencing earlier, something's not working, I need to fix it, okay? You've kind of outlined what it is that you need to fix, and now you're at this point, when do I need to fix this? I need to put things in my calendar in order to get this fixed, because now it's becoming urgent. If I don't fix it, I'm going to fall into a situation where I'm going to lose more business. I'm not going to be able to make payroll. I'm not going to have a paycheck myself. I'm not going to be able to pay my own rent, that type of thing, okay? Commit to the timelines to fix the problem and feel good about that, okay? So when we put things in our calendar or we cross off, tasks, it's exciting. I love my to-do lists. Every day I look at my to-do list, and probably twice a week I do a new to-do list because I've checked off so many things that I kind of have now a new drawing board. I need to add more tasks to my to-do list in order to get and accomplish things done. All right, and then so the final 5 from the Thrive 5 is the system. And the system is usually applied to who? Now that we understand how we do this, who is responsible for doing it? So if you're an independent person, then you know that it goes back to you. But the who might also be your program or your app that you're using. In other words, if you have an online booking system for people to make appointments with you, that system that you've set up because you've filled in all the blanks to the point where now the system works for you, that system of who is the app. So you're not having to play that role anymore. You've just streamlined a system. You have a system now that you can duplicate over and over again, and you fixed a problem that you've had from the past. So you want to look at that system that's in place, measure the results, duplicate the process. Okay, that's what equals a system. What worked, what didn't? What do you need to keep? What do you need to discard? Who else can implement this? Or do you need to put this back on your task list to keep nurturing and fixing until you have a system in place that is absolutely 100% duplicatable? Okay. The more systems that you can implement, the more strategies you can have going all at once. So you could have an awareness campaign, you could have a client acquisition campaign, you could have a talent acquisition campaign, all going at the same time because you've been through this process of goal, strategy, process, task, system. And you have it in place and they can run simultaneously. Okay. This is how we get to the thriving mentality. This is when we get to the point that we're actually working on our business and not just working in our business. Now, you guys have always heard this philosophy: lead people, manage systems, right? So when you have systems in place, you can duplicate yourself. You can grow. Even if you're one person, you can double your size based on the systems that you have in place. So what systems do I have in place? I have communication systems in place. How I'm able to communicate with my clients, how I take on a process of working with new clients. I have leadership systems in place. How I have expectations of my team to be able to support me in the goals and tasks that I've set up, and how and who's responsible for what systems. I have marketing systems in place. You know, each and every day I review my marketing systems. What do I need to be putting emphasis on? What am I promoting? What program am I launching at this point? I have branding systems in place. At what point do I need to make sure that there's enough awareness to my ideal clients that I exist? I have operational systems in place. You know, what programs, applications that I'm using in order to make my life easier. I have client experience systems in place. So when I'm, you know, as an independent coach and consultant, I have certain client experiences, but then I also am the director of marketing for other clients, and, you know, including my husband's salon. We have specific client experiences in place, and it's systems, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. Okay. I have education systems in place. You know, like, what do I need to learn right now in order to grow my business? And I put a plan together of how I'm going to learn that, how I'm going to pay for it, how I'm going to allocate time to it. Okay. Training programs, hiring, and so on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, guys, these are the systems, and I have several systems in place, and the more systems you have in place, the more success that you're going to have. All right, so I want you to think about what's one thing that you have a problem with. What's one area that you're facing a problem right now? And I want you to go through this process. What's the goal? What's the strategy? What's the process? What's the task? And what's the system? All right, guys, thanks for joining me today on the SOS Salon Coaching and Podcast, Small Business Coaching and Podcast as well. And I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to be talking about mindset, which is always one of my favorite topics to talk about next week, is mindset. Because when we don't get things done, or when we kind of get to a point where we are lethargic in our actions, it's not because we don't want to, it's not because we don't know how. Sometimes it's just we're not in the right mindset to be fully in action and allow ourselves to be inspired by the action that we need to take. Thanks for joining me, you guys. As you know, that this can be, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Anchor, all where iTunes, all where major podcasts are. And I appreciate it if you guys share this podcast out with other people that might need to know this.